Welcome back to Pin Pals, the podcast about enamel pins, the podcast that interviews enamel pin makers, the podcast that gives you the insight you need to know to survive in the pin game. Yes, that is correct. Survive in the pin game. I am your host, Eric from Warrior Pins, and thank you for tuning in. Oh boy, these intros. Oh boy, I'm sorry about that one. Shout out to my Buy Me a Coffee supporters for continuing to do their thing. Your support doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I also want to mention that we hit 20 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts. So if you're one of those 20 people, pat yourself on the back. Thank you. Very much appreciated. Next time our paths cross, I'm definitely buying you a coffee or giving you the pin on my hat, or maybe just a high five, because these are trying times and prices are for stuff. They're going up. This is crazy. Today's episode features Noice Pins. You heard it correctly. One of the OGs, Noice Pins. He's been around for a minute. Noice Pins is based out of New York, and it's run by my buddy Artem. They specialize in making fun, pop culture-inspired pins. If you collect pins from The Office, or maybe It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, then there's a really good chance that you've seen Artem's pins either through Google searches, on Instagram, definitely on Etsy. This episode is a lengthy one. However, when I put up a poll on Instagram asking if you guys prefer single episodes or two-parters, a majority of you said single episodes, so here we are. Artem and I get into the usual, pin origin stories, marketing strategies and tips, vending at shows, yada, yada, yada. But some new topics, we talk about NFTs and what that might look like for pin makers in the future. We talk about Pinlord, who is one of the big Instagram accounts when it comes to pins, and his book, Pin Game Strong. We talk about what life is like as a pin maker, and we wrap it up with some fun, rapid-fire, miscellaneous questions. A quick heads up, I want to apologize to all of our audio listeners, because this is a pretty visual episode. Artem and I are just often holding up pins in front of the screen, so if you're listening, I apologize. But if you're really curious, you can pop on over to our YouTube page. Just search for Pin Pals Podcast on YouTube, and we should show up, and you can go ahead and see, what we're talking about. Without further ado, here is my conversation with my pin pal, Noice Pins. Noice. You know I had to sneak that in there. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to Pin Pals, Artem. How's it going, my friend?
It's been good. It's a little humid here in New York, but thank God for ACs.
Let's talk pins. Let's just have you introduce yourself, Artem. Who are you, and tell the listeners about Noice Pins.
So my name is Artem, and I run Noice Pins. I started in 2017 because I collected so many Funko Pops. It started to be out of control and annoying because these boxes that just keep adding up and take up so much space. So I was thinking what can I collect that wouldn't really take up as much space? And I remembered seeing pins at this cool shop on Staten Island called Richmond Hood Co. And they have lots of Wu-Tang stuff, very Staten Island. And I bought some pins there, and that's when I started to collect. And eventually I had the idea of how do you make pins? So I talked to this artist who made pins that he was selling them at Richmond Hood Co. Mm-hmm. And that happened to be Jeff Cinco. And he was a local Staten Island person. And he gave me the rundown and told me all about the manufacturers, the types of metals, the types of pins you could make. And I then decided to make 3 pins to start off. And it was all self-funded. And okay. The first 3 pins were of Terminator 2, so Arnold Schwarzenegger smiling, a Chris Farley Tommy Boy pin, and a Stanley Nickel from The Office.
Yes, love that pin.
And they were all soft enamel. I usually just prefer soft enamel. I like the challenge of designing something that has to abide by the lines of the metal. Because in hard enamel, you can do pretty much anything. But with the
Yeah.
soft enamel, it has to be very specific with the lines and where the
Yep.
inks go. And yeah, I mainly made the Terminator one because it wasn't made, and it was something I wanted to like wear on my hat and my backpack. And I'm like, how's this not made? I'm like, okay. So I hired a local artist, and she helped me design it. And 4 weeks later, after I sent that design to the manufacturer, I got my pins. Oh,
The pin fell off my hat.
yeah. Um, and the Stanley nickel I made because that also wasn't made. I'm like, how is this not a thing yet? So I quickly jumped on that and had it designed. And I think I'm up to the fourth and last version of the pin right now. And after
Wow.
that, there's no more. I think
Uh,
I've sold like 400 Stanley nickels or so.
When you say fourth version, are you talking like 4 different molds, or are you just messing around with the one mold and doing like different metals or different finishes?
So it would be free versions technically because the type of metal I used for the first version was nickel,
Mm-hmm.
and the second one was like a die cast. And then I got them to like really up it up, like really make them look more like coins. And
Nice.
this is the one that just got sold out. This is 1.25 inches.
Noice.
Yeah.
That is cool. It looks like a token right out of a game board.
Yeah. And I'm like, finally, I got to look exactly how I wanted to. I'm just like, I love The Office. Yeah, I figure why not, stick with The Office.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I started off with free, and they were all self-funded. I quickly learned like if you do want to do collaborations, you got to be prepared to deal with people who are they want to get into it, but then they don't want to put the money up. They're not as committed to like the pin game. So whenever I had a design that I know I wanted and I want to get it made, I would like fund them.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always make about 100 pins of each design, knowing if I sold about 25 or so, I would be in the profit
Yeah.
after that.
Okay. That's pretty smart. Oh, so wow, this sounds like it just kind of wanting to collect something, seeing the pins and then making them, it just I feel like it kind of just spiraled. You just kind of got like sucked into the world of pins. Is that pretty much the case?
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't know like how like interesting and big the community was
Mm-hmm.
when I first started. I just like, oh, like, yeah, this person makes pins, and then my other friends make pins because they also, one friend makes T-shirts, canvas bags, and others prints art designs and whatnot, and they have pins. I'm like, I should look into this. It's been like a cool little like side hustle,
Yeah.
and I feel like if I was 1 year earlier into it, it would have gained more momentum. It's just like there was a certain point where everyone started making pins, and then everyone has the same designs, and then I don't want to make these designs because it's like overdone to like
Mm-hmm.
oblivion. Like when the Bernie Sanders meme became a thing, like within hours I got a message from my friend like, oh, you should make this one pin right away. I'm like, too late because people already sent their emails and whatnot like hours ago.
Yeah.
I know, like
It is crazy.
the Baby Yoda stuff, like
Yeah.
that took off like instantly. But I gotta say, some people do have like I like their art style, so it's like worth buying their pin of like the popular thing.
For sure. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of the same, essentially the same idea out there. Maybe it's done differently, maybe the colors are different, but that is pretty common, I would say, in almost every like pin fandom. I think there's, even you could even go broader and do like, or I'm sorry, get more granular and just say like, any 90s vintage nostalgic pins, there's probably going to be that on like a popsicle and it's melting
Yeah,
or something like that. Like I've seen that like time and time again. And power to you for like, doing that. I'm not knocking, designing this, because everyone puts kind of like their own little twist to it. So it's theirs and it's kind of like unique to their brand. But it can be pretty rough when you have ideas and you see it out there. But luckily you lucked out, and the pins that you wanted to release, you didn't see any of them out there. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. So I've been trying to. That's what I usually think about when I make my pins, because when I look for pins to buy, it's usually like movie culture stuff, or it's like it's so specific.
Mm-hmm.
I need to have it.
And
Like I found I forgot I think the artist's name is Ryan Tobin, I believe, something like that, and he made this hard enamel pin of Sylvester Stallone as the Terminator, which is from the movie Last Action Hero, and that's like extremely obscure. And I'm like, I need this, and I'm glad someone already made it, so then I don't have to make it, so I'll just buy it.
yeah, that's the cool thing about pins. It's just, it captures these like little moments, and if and it's just like, oh man, that's really cool, and it opens up a door, so to speak, to like talk to other people. Just, oh, where'd you get that? Oh, that's cool. That's like my favorite movie, or that was my mom's favorite movie. So many cool things. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting seeing the like what pins are like trending, like what's like a big thing in pins. Like office stuff is like been going up way more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Simpsons has, I think, like has always been a big thing in the pin community.
Always, always.
Like the amount of pins I've seen of The Simpsons that just Jeff Cinco collects is crazy, and he also makes like some cool ones too now.
Yeah.
I was like lucky enough to make my own. It's already sold out. It was, I think, one of the first pins I sold out, and I decided like that's it, no more of them. I made Flanders. Christ is watching.
Nice.
Then eventually down the line, I made a Poochie pin with a transparent card.
Oh, that looks extremely inappropriate.
Yeah, it's censored. It's so good.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah, so I
interesting.
copied and made the film cell that he like disappears
Yeah,
in the
that's pretty
show.
cool. Creative. Noise. Just
Yeah,
gonna keep saying
it's
that.
also cool like seeing the different types of pins people make, because people can add hinges, springs. Now some are like glow in the dark and change colors. I have a Chris Farley Chippendales pin that had a spring on it, so it looks like he's like dancing. There you go.
Yeah, there it goes. Ah, that's a cool, kind of like a little truffle shuffle feature.
Yeah. Actually, this is one of the pins that I've seen bootlegs of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know about the bootlegs that happen with the pin manufacturers?
No. Okay. Well, I mean, I bet you there are a ton of stories. But tell me this.
Say you make a pin design with a certain manufacturer, sometimes they take that mold and they make it on their own and just sell it through random shops on eBay and Etsy and just keep selling it.
Okay.
And they're just
Yes.
out there in the world.
Yes. Okay. I've heard of this stuff like this. All right. Go on.
Yeah. Like Jeff told me about this, and I'm like, that's crazy. And then eventually I find my own pins on eBay and Etsy. I'm like, what the hell? And then when you try to report it, it's like nothing happens.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, how did you find them? Were you searching for your brand or your own
Yeah,
pins?
every now and then, because like some people try to resell my pins for like double and stuff, which is
Really?
yeah, not all the pins, but like certain ones. I'm like, whatever. And I was just thinking about making another Chris Farley pin because, like, I made a fair amount of them, but I was also like looking to buy stuff for myself, and then I just see my pin. I'm like, that's insane because it's more annoying because I paid my friend to design it, and now someone took even the product picture I took, and is reusing it to sell it.
Oh man, that's rough too.
Yeah.
When they stoop down to that level and they use your damn product pictures, probably titled the same thing. They didn't even change the metadata.
No.
Dang, man. I've had similar stories of that. But I've never like searched for like my own pins or like any of the Ninja Turtle stuff. I've had a couple people send me pins that look like mine, and they were producing pins that were similar to mine. But I haven't done like a brand check or anything like that on these websites. That's pretty interesting. I think one of my guests, I think George from Nostalgia Vault, was talking about that, and how like one of the manufacturers, I don't think they were selling his pin, but I think they used his pin as like one of the listings as like examples of pins that they do. But that's pretty interesting. All right, let me ask you. This thought came into my head while you were talking, and it's about reselling pins. Like I'm okay with reselling pins. Like the only, I wish I could get a kickback, of people reselling pins. Do you have any thoughts or just anything on like NFTs? Because if this was like an NFT art, and what you sold originally gets resold, you could write what I think is called a smart contract. I'm still trying to figure this stuff out, and get a kickback every time that thing is sold. Like get 10% of whatever it's sold as. Has that something you've explored or looked at by any chance?
I've looked into making certain pins as NFT pins, and I think it's still too early for everyone to get into it. You have to have a big name or be a freaking YouTuber that's super popular, and then you're able to sell your stuff for a ridiculous amount of money. But it's tough because of like the copyright. Like, is it okay if you sell a Simpsons pin and then someone else wants to resell it? It's always tricky because I always think about like,
Yes,
as long as
yes.
someone adds something to it in their art style, then I'm like, no, that should be, it's a new thing, because certain things like become part of the culture, and then it's the cultures.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like Star Wars is for everyone, and they shouldn't be gatekeeping everything, you know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It, it it's weird, but like bootleggers in a sense are part of the community, and they help keep these fandom alive to a lot of people who don't have all the fortunate things to be like money to like buy all these products and stuff like that. Like it's very much a real thing. It's pretty cool if you ask me. Like I love bootleg stuff.
Yeah, things definitely pop up on like Wish. Like I bought stickers, and clearly they're like taking it from someone else's design and just packaging in like 100 of it for $1 kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's definitely office pins there. I haven't seen mine yet, but I wouldn't be surprised at some point.
All right. Well, that's pretty interesting. You're giving me something to do later tonight. I'm gonna challenge myself. I hope to find something. I don't know. Maybe I jinxed myself with that one.
Yeah, I've had people. I had like a person reach out to me who was like trying to get rid of their pins, so I was able to like resell it on his behalf.
Mm-hmm.
Like I paid for them, and then he got his money, and then I was able to like sell them one by one.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I every now and then I sell some of my collection. I've had people try to buy specific pins. Like I know there's a big community in that, and like reselling, especially on like the Facebook groups of like really limited pins. Um,
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's crazy how much they can go for. It's like, am I selling the right stuff? Like, I take like a chill approach to Noice Pins because it is like a side thing, and like I've been trying to not be so attached to social media, but I understand like that's where we can promote that stuff.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I do want to talk about how like there's different venues of promoting pins that people should be aware of.
Okay.
So definitely, Facebook groups, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. On Instagram also, there's certain pages that you can pay and they will share your product for you. But be aware, like Instagram, Facebook they don't like when other people do it. It's like they want you to pay them directly for the ads, for the reach, because the reach is always changing. I think you talked about it in the previous podcast about the algorithm for Instagram.
What about it, man? Yeah, it's always changing. Always changing.
It's always changing, and I just want to warn people, like, don't rely strictly on Facebook and Instagram because they're big now, but they could disappear like MySpace,
Yes. And it you just have to be aware of emerging social media platforms to take advantage of that organic reach. I'm seeing it for myself on TikTok, and it's wild. It's still just, it's kind of weird, but it's, TikTok is where we wish that we were at with Instagram right now. It's a completely different platform, and a lot of people probably have to start from the ground up again. There's a stress and, trying to figure out like a new platform, and everything's not the same. But that's kind of like where we're at right now. And I think in another 10 to 15 years, like the NFTs and stuff like that, like I think that's also going to slowly trickle into like our shops and kind of like what the norm is in terms of what you can purchase. And we're all just going to have to adopt and adapt to all these new platforms. And that's a big part of it. But I didn't mean to cut into your marketing.
No, there's always like new technologies emerging about like products. Like I think Yahoo was doing a thing where they would play a video and at any point you could click it and you can buy the product. Like someone's wearing a bag or a hat, you can click it and it goes directly to the product page.
That is crazy. Insane.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Can we talk about something else? That scares me, man. That's learning too much, man. That's a crazy algorithm.
Yeah. It's the future.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Okay. I got a question for you. And I'm sure people ask you this. If someone comes up to you and they have a little bit of knowledge about pins, but they go, Artem, I really want to make a pin shop. Where do I start? How do I get started? What do I do? What do you tell them in like, the short amount of time that you have to like tell someone this?
Okay, because I get that a lot.
I'm sure. Yep.
I tell people, first off, I design them. I don't make them. 99% of all pins are made in China, and you need to contact a pin manufacturer. And I would say get samples from them so you could see what pins they can produce. Work with artists to design something for you. Always talk to there's always going to be a pin maker that you're going to be able to talk to. Lots of people are very open to a certain extent. Like I can only answer so many, but definitely hit up,
or
Eric.
This way, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Pin manufacturer is the first big step.
Yeah. I like that though. I design enamel pins. I don't make them.
I don't make them, and people still message me, but I have no issues recommending pin manufacturers that I've used. I'm not sure if people used to gatekeep that information, but actually a good way to get into it, there's a pin enamel book by Pin Lord that people should check out. And I think they're sold on Amazon, and it goes into history of pins and how to get them made. So Pin Lord's book for sure.
It should be in the background somewhere. Eventually, I would like to build up a little studio and have like a nice background that you can actually see all the pins and other stuff. But I do have that book. I think it's called Pin Game Strong, and it is really cool. It definitely tells you how to make pins, the ins and outs of pins, how like the rise of pins in pop culture, and they feature like tons of artists. And they, like every like pin has its own credits. You can try and find those pins. It's a pretty neat little like coffee table book. And definitely something that like I hand to when they ask or want to learn kind of like what I do on the side. It's like, here, just like flip through this or just borrow this and let me know if you have any questions afterwards. It's a pretty interesting book.
Yeah, definitely anyone watching, check out Pin Lord's page on Instagram because he promotes, like, you could pay for advertising with him,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes he'll just give you a repost because he's like, he understands the pin community and the social media reach, and he always like is down to help people out. He reposted my last post. I didn't ask for that, but I always
Oh,
like hit him up,
nice.
dude, thank you so much, because it just helps get the word out on the pins.
Yeah.
Also, it's a cool. He was really smart on being one of the first. I'm thinking like to get into the pin community and posting pins. So if you want to buy something, you just look at his page and it's like, oh, I don't have this one. Oh, there's my friend. Oh, here's my pin. Like, it's really cool.
So many pins. It's one that I think at Enamel Pins, amazing handle. They happen to grab that, and I think they have the same kind of spiel where they just
I think,
repost
yeah,
just all different pins. So like it's just a drop in the ocean that is the pin game.
yeah.
These feeds.
And I'm always surprised like what pops up there
Mm-hmm.
because I don't. This is a new Nacho Libre pin. Like, I need that. I don't know why that movie is so good.
Yes, what I wanted to say, a lot of deep cuts are found on these like websites or on these like pin pages. That it's like if you know, you know. It can be a little like Ninja Turtle communicator or something like that, and it's like, well, the Ninja Turtle fans will know, and that's what's kind of cool about the pins.
I need to ask you if you have this Ninja Turtles pin because I helped get it made.
Oh, okay. No, I know. That's on like my pin wish list. Yeah, and that comes off, and it's a magnet.
Yeah,
That is swag. Who I forgot who made it. Um,
that's my buddy. He went by Skull Designs, but now he's SD Print Co.
SD Print Co.
I can hit him up and see if he has any extras.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'll make note of that to hit them up. Check those out. Definitely wanted to get that. I love the colors. The colors popped, and also like that's just such a clever design. My first pin was a Krang, and the backing card was just a close up of Krang like in the belt, in the Android body belt.
Yeah.
So like I can relate to that pin with my pin business, not necessarily Ninja Turtles, which is kind of cool and why I'm just like I need that shit. Oh man, I would love to like do a tour or something one day of all the pins back there, but like half the board is Ninja Turtle pins right now.
Yeah, I've been keeping my board separate where my main board is, I gotta send you a picture so you could like take a look at it. So that's my main board. Mainly movies, some New York stuff, Terminator, Office, local pin makers, like lots of Staten Island New Yorkers that I have up there too. Some Marvel, of course.
That's a lot of pins, man.
I don't think it's a lot compared to like other people's, like rolling pins. He has like 5 boards.
Yeah, that's an insane amount. Yo, I guess we're talking to people who are like literally knees deep in the pins. Like that is crazy though. I can't wait to go back to shows and just look at people's collections again like this and just like stare at their booths or their tables for like 10 minutes, just eyes darting everywhere.
I definitely want to go to a show and not be a vendor so I can enjoy it way more.
Yeah.
Because like vending is like a whole thing that it's like an all day thing for people. people do a lot for these like shows. Like I don't think people realize how much work goes into it. You know?
It's definitely a lot, and we will talk about that in a little bit. I have a couple questions for you about vending, because who doesn't love to talk about vending at shows? So I got a sense you have a really cool range of pins, that all kind of fall under the pop culture category, if you will. Aside from making sure that it isn't already a pin, how do you figure out what designs to turn into pins?
So it's really tough because you can only do so much like research, like going on Reddit, uh, pin subreddits, and then
Mm-hmm.
also Facebook, and then Pinterest, and always looking at Etsy. And it's like, what sticks out to me? And is it worth the risk to put money into something that you might not get back?
Mm-hmm.
I think people should realize is a reality. Not everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, I need this one thing. Like, yes, it'd be easy just to make like baby Yodas with different hats every month, you know. But no, I try to look for something more specific, or something that I guess calls to me, something from like my past, and that's where I usually begin to look, like movies, and then TV shows, and then video games, or something pop culture, or something that annoys me. And I'm like, how can I turn this into a pin? And then people can like relate to it.
Yeah.
One pin that's kind of like that would have to be this FUMTA.
Of course, because FUMTA.
I don't like how it took a pandemic for them to be forced to clean their trains. You know, that's. And then this one was because I got parking tickets for alternate side parking.
Dang, yo, same here.
Yeah, and I made sure it said something like good. Fuck you, pay me. So like a little Goodfellas in there, you know. So every now and then I do try to design something more like original, which is like I feel like more risky compared to the pop culture stuff, because everyone, I think people like to relate to something everyone knows, so it's like easier to sell. But then trying to draw something original is just good practice
Mm-hmm.
designing, and trying to test the market. Like, okay, maybe some people like this kind of stuff, or people don't.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I do draw stuff, or I hire an artist to do it for me,
Nice.
because sometimes like I don't have time, or like I need like specific art style.
Yeah, I can relate to the time part for sure. It's not enough hours in the day.
Some designs I just take personally like too long. So I'm like, do I want this to be a pin? Like I've had designs where I've been holding on to them for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I have this one of Oscar the Grouch, but he's like the Hulk. Like he's in the garbage can and he's like hulked out. And I'm like just holding on to that for some reason. Like
I like that.
it's like it's tough.
Yeah, it definitely tough. I can relate. It's just like you don't have the time to actually like put it to paper, but it's hard to kind of like describe what you see in your head to someone else to have to rely on like them to come up. It's definitely tough, and I've definitely had to can a bunch of stuff because one, it wasn't like turtle stuff, or two, it's just this is just like so specific, a little too specific, that it just wasn't even worth it, beyond a doodle or something like that.
Yeah. I'm looking at my board now, like things I'm gonna be like selling. Oh, I want to mention like people should also turn their pin designs into stickers, because there's another community out there that's just as like cool and interesting next to the pins, and that's like stickers, or people say slaps.
Yeah, Okay,
So
so I'm sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
oh, good.
I was going to like segue this into marketing because something that I've recently adopted is every time I make a pin now, I will turn that pin into a sticker. And, in the future, I'm going to try and do on the release day, people who order this pin will also get this sticker, included in their order for free or something like that. So I'm kind of using stickers, not just throwing them up on the shop, but as like a little incentive, a little bit of a marketing boost to try and like, get those day one sales as high as possible. Do you have any specific marketing strategies that you see work for you and Noice Pins? If so, what are they?
So I sell my stuff on mainly on Etsy, and I always include a code for a percentage off, or like $3 off your next order, so that way people can come back and get like another pin but for cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'll just randomly put in a sticker, or if I know that it's going overseas, I always want to put extra stuff because
Make it worth it.
yeah, the shipping is brutal for like the UK and like Australia. I had a pin go to South Korea,
Oh, that's cool.
Ireland. So I always want to like add stuff to that. Be it like if I have logo stickers of my logo,
Mm-hmm.
or just a design I think that might be good with their pin order. Like if they like comedy, always put something that's more funny type of deal.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, if someone orders something specific like a Donatello pin, then I usually throw in another Donatello sticker, or if I have any like of those vintage Ninja Turtle trading cards or something like that, I'll look for a Donnie one and just try and like throw that one in there, especially for international orders. A lot of the
Yeah.
time shipping is more than the pin, unfortunately. So I definitely try and hook it up and make sure that those people get their money's worth because, they're doing it, just hoping that the pin shows up in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a while for the pins to show up. Luckily, we've had a pretty good success rate.
I gotta ask, do you do pre-orders?
So we don't do pre-orders, but it's not as like simple and dry as a no. We don't do pre-orders. I've gotten like pretty strategic with my approach when it comes to making pins, because I'll admit that I have released some stuff that hasn't sold very well. I'm still sitting on like more than half of the pins and stuff like that. So what I did was I really tried to understand my audience and what they were buying and what they were into by just releasing a bunch of different mock-ups and stuff like that. And eventually, I kind of figured out what they like, and so now I'm doing like sets and making bigger pins and seeing everything release with some success, which is great, and I love seeing that. Just taking a little bit more of an approach versus like, oh, this would be a cool idea. This is not out there. Let's just throw it out there. Like, there's a little bit more thought put into it, and I'm not just coming up with an idea, designing it, and then sending it off to the manufacturer as eager as I was like in the beginning. So because I know kind of what to release and how more or less what the anticipation and expectations and stuff like that are going to be, I don't do pre-orders. I've actually, because I don't want to sit on a bunch of pins, I've started ordering less, and I know that it'll, make the cost of each pin go up, but I'm okay with that if I can just move all the pins quicker. Because if it works, then maybe I can figure out a way to bring the pins back and things like that. So I don't do pre-orders for pins. I think I will be doing pre-orders for hats and shirts in the future because I don't want them shipping from elsewhere. Well, I have concerns about that. I don't want people getting 2 packages in the mail, a shirt and then a pin or pins, whatever, from me. I want to make sure like I can sign off on what's going out, but I realized going this method, you're going to have to pay a little bit more for the products, you know, because I'm actually going to have them physically on me. So in order for me to not end up with a large stock of unsold merch, I'm going to do pre-orders. And I found a couple like shops that do hats and shirts, very small quantities. So whoever pre-orders, maybe I'll round that number up. If 17 people pre-order, to like 20 or 25 shirts, just to have a couple extra on deck. But like I know that I got 17 shirts sold. That money came in for those 17 shirts, and I'm not sitting on a large, more than half of it, you know, waiting for it to sell. So I know that was kind of long, but that's kind of like where my head is at in terms of pre-orders and pre-order strategies.
No, I think that's good for people to know. And also, when you pre-order something, just you might have to wait. It's not going to be instant, because sometimes people don't like read anything and be like, "Where's my stuff?" And that's when I'm like, I don't think I can do pre-orders. I like knowing I have a product, and then I can ship it out as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I still order other people's stuff because, like, of course I'm going to support my friends and whatnot. Like, I want that stuff.
Right. And we also live in just like this instant gratification society where, you know, we're used to stuff on Amazon being delivered to us in the next day or two. So I think we kind of expect that. Well, I'm honestly guilty of it, expecting that kind of like across the board. Like, okay, it's been a couple days. Like, where's my stuff? And it's just, it feels kind of like bratty to like have those thoughts, especially when you're ordering stuff from small businesses, because they don't have the luxury that I wouldn't say luxuries, but they don't have the capabilities that Amazon has to get their stuff out there fast.
Yeah, and also the post office it could be either really good or, oh, your stuff's missing.
Yep.
Tough shit, you know. Or I get a package returned back and it's like ripped up and like clearly run over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, hey, like it's not my fault, but I gotta quickly contact that customer and be like, this is what happened. Let me send this out to you as soon as possible.
Yeah. It's unfortunately the part of just owning a business is being able to, you know, that's why the prices are what they are, to help offset some of these things. You know, a package is going to get lost or two, and packages are going to get like sent back to you. Like, it happens, as long as it sounds like you're still being transparent with your customers and letting them know what's going on, instead of just like acting like nothing happened, or, oh, I don't know, maybe it'll show up one day, you know. So you have good faith, which I like.
Yeah, because I try to think of it as, what if it was something I ordered? I'm like,
Exactly.
oh, where is it? But it's like, wait, it's a small business. Something could have happened, or just send a little message.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had like a bad review or experience with one of your orders?
With like someone leaving a bad review?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm trying to recall the story. I don't really harp too much on these things. Like you learn from it and then you move on from it. But I think it was just a situation where something must have been missing from an order. I'm human. Sometimes I'll forget a pin or put the wrong sticker in. Like, it has happened, you know. And I don't think I was responding quick enough to the customer or something like that. This is really, like, this is in the beginning, like when we first started, maybe 2016, 2017. So at first they left like a pretty nasty review, I think, on our website. I think it was like a 1-star on like all the products they had ordered on their website. And then once I sent them the item that was missing or that was wrong or whatever, they went back and they re-edited their review to 5 stars, and they changed everything. In that instance, I don't think that there was much else that I could have done. You know, like, this was just a person who just instant gratification just why didn't I get my stuff? You know, like, I get it. It was wrong. They have every right to kind of like gripe about it, but like to go and like attack the business and like try and leave 1-star reviews on everything before we even finish the dialogue of trying to figure out how to resolve this can be a little frustrating, I guess, as like a business owner. But definitely don't take anything to heart when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm not heartless, but I don't harp on these kind of things. Have you dealt with any kind of negative reviews?
I've had just one in particular that was like, it made no sense because this was around the time of the California fires. I forgot what year it was. It was like really bad. So
It's like the past couple of years, so bad.
There was one where it was like really bad, and I sent out a order to California, and it just didn't get delivered for a certain amount of days because everything was stopped.
Okay.
And the customer messaged me and it's like really aggressive automatically, and I'm like trying to explain, like, just let me look at the tracking, and if it doesn't show up in the next couple days, I will send you a replacement.
Mm-hmm.
And he was still being like aggressive and left me a 1-star review. Well, this was before the review. The item eventually showed up a few days later, and he loved the item but hated me, so he still left a 1-star review. So I'm like, whatever. And in my messages, I just kept saying, like, God bless you, bless your soul, which is code for go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You know? But it's gonna happen. I think people just be prepared, because not everyone's gonna be like forgiving for packages not arriving on time, even though we don't have control after it gets scanned.
Yeah.
I've had like, I think in a total of like 10 or 12 orders that just didn't get delivered, or they weren't like scanned and it just lost in the abyss. So I would like message people back and be like, oh, let me send a replacement right away, because like it sucks and I wanted to fix that for them. I even had an order of 3 pins lost in the same borough I dropped it off at. So luckily I kind of knew the customer. I'm like, that last name like looks familiar. So I contacted them. I'm like, oh wait, this is this person's like sister. So I'm like, hey, so apparently the mail like disappeared. So let me drop these off to you, because I'm on the same borough. And that's what I did. I dropped off the pins, and then I threw in some extra stuff, and all was well. But I can't do that in like South Korea, you know?
Yeah. It's just kind of like, as a consumer, I think just part of the buying process and what you kind of have to accept, especially if it's over international lines.
And it's crazy because it's like such a small package. Like it's a pin. Sometimes it's just 1 pin or 3 pins, and it's gone.
Yeah. The risks are definitely against it for getting lost. Long travel. Cool. Well, moving on, because we're running pretty long. We're like around the 50-60 minute mark or so, but it's been great, man. I love when conversations like this just keep flowing. I want to talk quickly about vending at shows. I believe we've both had the experience of vending at Patches and Pins Expo. What's it like vending at these shows? What's your Patches and Pins Expo experience like?
So it was my first like proper big event, and I just came in there with just 3 pin designs, and then a bunch of pins that were in my personal collection that I was like just reselling, because like I'm not too attached to them. So I'm like, maybe someone else will like this random pin, because like I don't know if you're like this, but like if you go to a thrift shop, it's like, oh, I want to find something, one random cool thing. So I'm like, let me do that for the pins. And it was cool seeing like what what kind of pins are really out there, and all the characters who are behind these like different shops. That's like, oh wait, this person's like went to the same college as me. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, oh, I'm friends with him on Instagram. Like, let me talk to him. And I started to learn about like, you go up to different pin makers, introduce yourself, and then check out their stuff and like offer to trade, and then it just evolves from there. And you learn about how people market their items, how they package it, how they display them, what kind of sales they do. You learn so much. I think if you do want to get into pin making, you should really go to an event and like experience it.
You said it, experience it, both as like a consumer and as a vendor. I think it's totally worth it. You're in it with the sharks, so to speak. Like there's no better way to like really understand like the pin culture and everything else that you talked about. The pins, the setups, the people, the relationships, all that stuff. You just got to get out there. So it sounds like, overall you've had pretty good experience at those shows.
I think because things are easing up, I think there were pin events going on during the pandemic, which I felt like that was a little ill-advised, in my opinion, because certain people weren't able to get vaccinated yet, and just being that close into like crowded and like venues, that wasn't for me. Like I knew like I just can't vend really, because I have to think about like the people I live with, my family, and just random people. I don't want to get people sick. There's like, I would feel like so bad if I like went to an event and then I got like sniffles, and then someone else like had blood clots and stuff. I'm like, ugh. So I knew I was gonna have to just sell stuff online, figure out like, okay, I have more time to focus on the ways I'm gonna be displaying the pins, what I'm gonna do, like how I'm gonna take pictures of them, how I'm gonna create backgrounds, create videos for them to figure out TikTok stuff.
I'm almost advocating that people go to these shows with a notebook and just like take notes, take pictures, and then take a note, reference picture 4445, take note of their color booth or the way that they displayed pins or something like that. So much.
I definitely know like certain tables have like their own color scheme. I forgot who did like an all purple one. Go
Ooh.
Go Noel or something. She had really cool, like a really nice like display, and then some looked like very makeshift, but it fit with the style that they were like presenting. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, there's so many different styles you could do with your own like display.
Mm-hmm.
People have like racks and like cages to display their stuff. I remember Rolling Pins. He was doing the bottle with the pin backs, and you have to guess how many. I'm like, that's really smart. I really wanted to do this thing where I would buy like an old gumball machine, and then in the bubbles you would put like a number or like a name of a pin, and then they would win that pin. If you want to do that, I would say that also leads into prepping for your display, because how many people do you have to help you? How much stuff are you going to carry?
Yeah, exactly.
I know I want to be able to have one or two large bins, and that's the products. And then I need my chairs, I need my tablecloths, I need display signs. Like, you need to prepare if you want to do vending.
Mm-hmm.
I try to do it like ahead of time, and then also like simplify it. I only bring 10 of this pin, I bring 20 of that, I bring 5 of this one. Always have change.
Yeah.
Or write your Venmo or your PayPal, so it's like easier, because sometimes people don't want to use cash, or during pandemic stuff you want to not like be handling money, you know.
Those are good tips. Very good tips. I would also add nuts, hand sanitizer. Oh, also, I think maybe using QR codes, I think will become like a cooler thing to I know people use it already, but like, to follow, get some follows on Instagram, or for, it could be a QR code to a link tree that has the different ways that you can pay, whether it's on the website, Venmo, Shopify. I don't know. There's a bunch of like different reasons, but you pretty much, I'm on par with everything that you said about vending, and in terms of like what you need to have. All that stuff is pretty important.
Also, like, you don't want to do this by yourself. You
No.
definitely want an extra hand, because, like, hey, you want to go to the bathroom or you want to get food. Not like, it shouldn't be the responsibility of a different person next to you, if you are next to someone, to watch your stuff.
Yeah.
And then they have to handle the money somehow, or it's just, you want an extra hand for sure.
Yeah, that will always help. Take good care of that person helping you, because it is a long day, and a lot of the times my voice is just all coarse and raspy, and just like,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, and like, it's hard not to be like, oh, I just want to walk around and look at everyone else's stuff, because there's like so much going on,
Mm-hmm. I want to try and organize some sort of like patches and pins after hours event, where maybe we just make like a little group chat or something like that, and just figure out a place big enough where we can all like go eat or something like that afterwards, and just
It's
kind of.
tough.
But it's really tough. I did it with the couple folks. I think we went to a nearby Gotham Market City, or Gotham City, or something. It's just kind of like this marketplace that had all different sorts of food. But we're rolling up with like 2 suitcases each, with like backpacks that are just like bursting at the seams. Like like we were rolling in deep. It was pretty funny. Like, who are these guys? Are they important? Like, they got all this stuff with them. So it is a pain in the butt, but it's crazy out in California how they're 1-2 day events, and they happen like every so often, but the amount of people going just keeps increasing. So I don't know, maybe we'll get to a point where it becomes like a pretty common thing. Like, every year there's just like a big expo, a big meetup, cheap hotels nearby.
I wish like it was better in New York. I wish there were definitely more events. I remember like you and Rich were talking about the event that was happening in Queens. I was at that one
Mm-hmm.
also.
Okay, the Windjammer one.
Yeah, and I drove there with a bunch of pin makers like Jeff and March.jpg. It was a small event, but it was still like a proper pin event,
Mm-hmm.
Or you would look at everyone's table and then walk around, trade with people. Just seeing all the collectors that, like, there's always like that one dude with the jean jacket that's like completely covered. I'm like, how do you walk around with that? Because whenever I have more than like 3 pins on my hat, it like weighs pretty heavy.
Yeah. I think oh man, Xavier, I believe is his name. It's been so long since I've seen him. But
Yeah.
I think there are multiple people that walk around with like jackets like that, but there's this one dude in particular.
Yeah. There's one guy who has like all the Power Ranger pins. The Funko collectors, like there's groups of Funko collectors that also make their own pins and then collect Funko like type pins.
Mm-hmm.
They're proper collectors, I gotta say.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much stuff they have.
It's just cool seeing all the different fandoms like just go at it and go insane. Like, these are a lot of us, we're online businesses, so we don't always get to see our customers, or I don't know, like physically see them is a big thing. So for us to see them and interact with them and talk to them, like, is really cool. You just have a better understanding of like what you're in, the community that you're in, and like the people that you're connecting and the people that you're making happy. I wish that New York was like out there in California. Like, it is insane. One, I mean, it would be nice to go to a show every month and make money from a show every month, because like those events pretty lucrative. I would like for them to happen more often. But two, just being able to like regularly like meet like your second fam, out there, and just hang and talk pins and connect with different fandoms. is really cool, and that's one of my favorite parts about vending.
Yeah, and they have like such insight of like what kind of pins are out there, and then they would be like, "Oh, no one's made this type of pin," and then I'm like, maybe I should make it. But then again, it's like some pins are like so expensive to make. Like anything when you add a hinge or magnets, it's like it's a ridiculous amount of money. Like
Yep.
there's one pin design, like I'm fine putting it out there because it's too expensive for me to make, but I did draw it up where it's the Power Rangers Command Center from Mighty Morphin, and then it would open up to the inside with the Power Rangers and Zordon and Alpha 5 on the side.
Okay.
Getting quotes from different pin makers and from pin manufacturers, I'm like, that's a lot. Because I self fund and I'm like, can't do it. Maybe one day when the prices get cheaper to produce these pins.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Like sometimes you do want to make a pin, but financially it doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah. I try and just plan to break even. If I can break even, that's minimum where I want to be at. Obviously I like to try and like sell a little bit more. That would be great. But I'm just all about like, even if I don't think it's going to like be like next big seller, it's not gonna like change me overnight or anything like that. But like I really go all in with like some of these designs, like some of the latest ones, the Leonardo hover trike that I just released, like contemplating whether or not people would even buy it. Okay, I think people would buy it. Well, do I make it like a regular like 1.5 inch size, or do I like make it a real big sucker and do 3 inch? And it's just like, I don't know, kind of committing to those like crazy ideas. People are always just like, whoa, that's a big pin, when pins are generally like bigger. You can see more details and stuff like that. So I was just kind of banking on that and hoping that like that would work in my favor. And I'm working on another pin right now that has a hinge, and it's a little bit more money, as do like the larger 3 inch pins. But I think they're just cool, and I think they're fun. And when the audience, I think, can see the work that went into it, and when it really is like something for the audience or something that they can like connect to, no matter how crazy or how expensive for what like your profits are, like I think it's just pretty cool still going for it.
And sometimes like I just want this one pin for myself, and like yeah, that always happens. Sometimes you do that. So I've been also making It's Always Sunny pins, and I've been noticing that's starting to be a new like genre of pins that people want to like produce and collect.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy I got into that early, but I'm also happy seeing other people make it, because it's like, oh, that's so cool. I'm gonna buy that myself.
Yeah, for sure. I felt like that with Ninja Turtles. In the beginning, I don't think that there were many people making pins, so it felt really cool to kind of like be there in the beginning. Like, I don't want to take credit right here, right now, for starting the hashtag TMNT pins, but I think we were one of the first people to start using that and making that like a norm before other people started, using it a lot. So, I don't know. It's pretty cool. Pins, man, can go on and on and on. All right, let's wrap this bad boy up. I have a couple questions lined up for you. It started, as a rapid fire, but I learned that, people aren't giving me short answers. There's a lot to talk about. So, I'm just going to ask you questions. First thing to come to your mind, just bam, let's spit them out. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Do you like soft enamel pins or hard enamel pins?
Soft enamel.
Why?
It just I like feeling the grooves of the metal of the lines. I think it's more work to make a pin work as a soft enamel.
Yeah, for sure. Those details, but literally the sensation of feeling sometimes like those ridges and grooves is just like one of those little things. I don't know.
It's also crazy to see how detailed they could be when they're so small.
Mm-hmm. And that's when it starts to get like super impressive, and like you can kind of use that as a selling point.
Yeah.
What is your favorite metal to make pins on?
Probably nickel, because it's like cheaper to make, and sometimes it's not. You can't really tell from certain metals.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, black dye. I use black dye way more because it looks better. It might be a little more, but I think it's worth it.
It makes things pop a little bit. Just especially like the edges and the outline of it just kind of looks clean. It depends really on the design, but generally I would say that black dye works with most pins.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like what I'll recommend as a starting point for folks looking to make pins. What's the most recent addition to your pin collection?
I bought something ridiculous. There are 2 pins I got of the show The Boys. It's of Homelander.
I'm not familiar. No.
It's a pretty cool show. It's like a rated R take on the superhero subculture
Okay.
of like the movies and whatnot. So I got that, and I think some Nacho Libre pin for sure.
Nice. I think ours was probably some Ninja Turtle pins. I think Adventure Society hooked it up with some Ninja Turtle pins recently. I think that was the last thing. But anyway, I'm asking you the questions. What's a pin that you can't live without? I bet you would never ever guess that you'd be asked that question.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Eric from Warrior Pins. Artem, I need to know, what pins can't you live without?
Definitely that Thanos pin with the gauntlet that's magnetic with the gems in it.
The gems are magnetic?
No, the glove itself is magnetic and it attaches to Thanos.
Oh.
And in the gauntlet it has gems.
That's cool. That's tough.
It just makes me like think of like what else can you do to pins? Like that's really well thought of,
Yeah.
I think another one. Well, I made this one pin as a tribute to this owner of Hypnotronic Comics from Staten Island. He passed away, and I made the pin as a tribute, and I gave all of them to his partner, who still runs the shop. And the only way to get these pins is to go to that shop on Staten Island. So I think that one pin is it means something.
That's cool. It's a pin with a purpose. A pin with a meaning. I like that. Those are the pins, man. That hit close. What is your favorite pin hashtag?
I like pin game proper.
Oh, snap. Jumping ahead a question. Okay, cool. Pin game proper. I like that. It's like the little brother of the pin game hashtags.
Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to rock a pin?
Definitely my hat. But I have to be limited because it just weighs my head down. Yeah, definitely the hat.
Yeah. Also, sometimes I feel like it just lots of pins on a hat. It might look cool. I'm not saying that's like a no-no. It's just me personally. I like just like 1 or 2 just like little accent pieces on the hat. I mean, I did have one here. I don't know what happened, why it fell off like that, but I love wearing pins on my hats. Okay, so I got to ask, because I'm a big Ninja Turtle fan, that's pretty evident. When you check out Warrior Pins, who is your favorite turtle?
Probably.
I guess. I know who I would guess for you.
Is that obvious?
Donatello.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm good at this.
I don't know. Maybe it's the color. Because he's red, right?
Oh, no. Donatello's the purple one.
Which one's the red one?
Red would be Raphael.
Raphael. Is he the one that was in the movies, the undercover trench coat?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, that's who I like.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah. Cool but rude.
I don't know. I think it's the color too, because like with Power Rangers, it's always the Red Ranger, even though people want the Green Ranger and White Ranger.
Yeah.
I actually at Comic-Con I got him to sign my pin of the Power Ranger Morpher pin that I still had. So I have that. the original Jason, I think.
That was also my favorite Ranger, by the way, the Red Ranger.
Yeah, the original, the first one.
Yeah. Good times. But okay, so you're a RAF. There's nothing wrong with being a RAF. That's really cool.
Oh, aren't they making? Are they trying to reboot it again?
Yeah, Seth Rogen, I think, is writing or producing the new, I think, CGI Ninja Turtle movie. I think they're actually going to be teenagers, and I have good feelings so far about what's been released in terms of the story, what they have to say about the turtles, and I'm pretty excited for it. 2023, still ways away, but turtles are coming back, so I'm excited for everything else that's gonna come along with it, from like content. Supposedly there's like a Netflix Ninja Turtles movie releasing, should be sometime soon. So if you're a Turtles fan, it's definitely a good time to be a Turtles fan. We're putting Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and those Michael Bay movies behind us now.
Yeah, I couldn't get into them. I like any movie with the freaking blue light coming down. It's like that's been done.
Yeah, I think the second one was better just because they had some of the like the classic
Bebop
characters.
and
Yeah,
Steady.
Bebop, Rocksteady, the epic battle with Shredder. Like, even though I wasn't big on the character Shredder or like how he looked, I'll admit the action sequences did keep me entertained. But all those like little doses of nostalgia was kind of cool. But yeah, at the bottom of the list in terms of like turtle movies. All right, back to the Q&A. What's one regret that you have with your pin business?
Not starting sooner, really. Like, oh my god, if I was like 1 year ahead, I feel like I would have more traction and I would have like put out certain pins ahead of other people, you know?
Yeah.
Like I always write down different pin ideas in my notes app. I'm like, I should do this, I should do that, maybe this. And then randomly I'll find them on my Instagram feed. I'm like, what? Someone made the pin already? I'm like, oh my god. There was a good one. I forgot the exact name of the pin maker, but it's something like BXE buttons. And he made a really cool DeLorean pin that has a hinge that opens up and the dog is inside. I'm like, I wrote that down like a while ago, but he did a crazy good job on it. So
I can relate. Here's a new question. What's life as a pin maker like?
for me, I'm more like on the chill side. I'm not so high strung about like, oh, get the hashtags correct, get this post out, because like you're gonna eventually like go crazy thinking about social media, and I try not to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can still be that collection mentality that I have with just I want this, I want that, but it's easy because I can just put it on the board behind me, and it's not going to be boxes that take up the whole wall, you know.
All right, cool. What's the how do I want to phrase this? What's the most rewarding thing about being a pin maker?
I would say being part of the community and seeing like how creative people are with what they want to put out there. Lots of people are super generous too. There's lots of pin makers that will just share your stuff for like you share their stuff, they share your stuff. No like big issue with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then getting feedback like, oh, you should try this out next time, or talk to this person because I think they want to do a collaboration related to this type of topic of a pin. Yeah, it's been cool like collaborating with like certain people.
Definitely.
You want this design, I want this design. How about we both go halvesies and then we each have half of each other's pins to put out there.
Yeah.
Like I got to do that with the Office Funko Pops. I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, do you want to make pins? Because I was thinking of drawing pops as pins. I didn't see any that I liked myself, and I was a big fan of The Office. I'm like, if there's anyone you want to make pins with related to The Office, it's like this is the guy.
Yeah.
So I started like making pins with him. So I made some that were exclusive. He made some that were exclusive. We made like pin sets, and Funko collectors love collecting. Like, why wouldn't they want to collect pins too? I got to make another It's Always Sunny pin. I drew Andrew. He made bodyguard pin of Charlie and Mac, where they're like American badasses and bodyguards, and they're holding like a gun and a katana. And he drew that up. I'm like, this is amazing. I'm so happy that's in my collection, and I get to promote his stuff. And then I was able to draw the speed bus as a pin, because like that movie's just like so amazing. Like you can rewatch that whenever. It's crazy how good it is. So I'm like, I want that as a pin. And if it doesn't sell like a crazy amount, that's fine. I'm just gonna rock it no matter what.
Nice. I like that. I've definitely had that rationale for a couple of my pins. Who cares? I'm gonna rock this till the day I die.
Yeah, and sometimes pins you just sell them just over time. Some people just want to sell it now, day one, but sometimes like it takes a little time. Like I was able to sell 400 Stanley nickels. That's crazy.
It is kind of crazy. I could say the same thing about our Krang pin, just like through the years, just kind of getting it made because it sells over and over again. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, man. Lots of good things coming out of being a pin maker. It sounds like it's definitely a good time to be a pin maker. I will say that. Last question. I ask everyone this question. I love ending the podcast on a wholesome note, usually. Artem, what are the little things in life for you?
Waking up and then my dog just licking my face and waking me up.
Wholesome. Yes.
I'm like grumpy when I'm like waking up, so that helps, you know?
That would definitely help.
Yeah. Even though his breath stinks in the morning, it's like, oh my God, but he's happy. So I'm awake. Yeah.
I like that. That's a great visual. Crawling over pins just to get to Artem, the owner. I don't know. Artem, that's it. That's the end of Pin Pals. You made it. How do you feel? Hopefully not too exhausted. Winded, yeah. Take a drink of water. Relax. Here we are. It doesn't seem like you're as hot as I am, man. I've had to keep.
No, I am. Woof. I'm boiling right now.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe fuck the sound. It'll be bad. Yeah, I'm sick of this humidity. You know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We're in New York, so you're in Jersey.
Yeah.
Like we experience everything.
Mm-hmm. Everything to the maximum too.
Yeah, like I shouldn't be sweating to death on the train and then to the gym, and then I'm already like burnt out. You know, it's just too much sometimes.
Yeah, I don't miss commuting into the city this time of year. For sure.
Dude, the first train that I took with my girlfriend to go downtown, we took the 2 train. And of course, some crazy guy asking for something. I have my headphones on, so I'm like, whatever, ignore this fucking guy. We're on the train. And then he starts like motioning to me and then to my girlfriend, and then he starts motioning jerk off to my girlfriend. And then that's when I'm like, okay. I get up and I'm like, he definitely wanted to fight, and then he was calling me cracker, saying the N-word to me.
Oh wow.
And some other passenger like held me back and said, like, it's not worth it. If he comes near you, I'll fucking kill him. Like this guy was like ready and like looking to fight people.
Yeah.
Like it's annoying. Like you get a seat, you want to relax, and then it's like we got to get to the next train. But that was like the first train experience back.
That's a crazy one. The crazies are coming out, man.
Dude, like on the R train, I remember there was this fake homeless guy that would always put on an accent. Help, I need money. But then a different train ride later, I see him on his phone and then counting a lot of money. And then wearing nice Jordans. I'm like, no, not Jordans. He was wearing like red Tims. I'm like, those are expensive, aren't they? I'm like, you motherfucker.
Yeah. God damn those people. Anyways, I'm going to give you the floor. If you have any shout outs, now would be the time to shout them out. Let the people know kind of what you have going on and where they can find you.
So I got to give out a couple of shout outs. First off, there is no Noice Pins without Jeff Cinco. You need to like follow his stuff. Other people include Space Cadet Collective, Rebel Art, Dead Original, Chris RWK of Robots Will Kill, The Office Funko Pops, Pin Lord, Rolling Pins 90, Pin Day, Mike Dye, I Saw Dino, Nightly Pins, Nerd Matters, and there's these two newer pin makers that I think people should be on the lookout. They have really good stuff. The Crafty Lion and Second Street Pins. Check them out. And check out my stuff, Noice Pins, on Instagram and Etsy. We have a bunch of office pins, Funko pins, pop culture, movies. It's Always Sunny. The last pin that we just released is To the Moon and Space Rockets.
Yeah, I saw.
The craziness of the stock market. So I was glad I was able to put that one out like right away. But yeah, check out, we're going to be doing more collabs and get the last version of the Stanley Nickel before they're all gone.
Before they're all gone. Definitely. We'll have all the links in the show notes to all your shops and your Instagram. Well, just your one shop, Etsy, and Instagram. Cool, man. Well, Artem, it's been a pleasure. I'm sure that we can keep going. As you can tell, the sun is going down and it is getting dark. This was a great time. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to sit down and talk pins with someone probably just as crazy about pins as you are. This was a good time. I really enjoyed myself. I feel inspired too. Like I'm gonna definitely like go back to my desk and start figuring out how to make just pins, more pins, better pins. I just
think of the next thing is always like
exactly. Just sit down and think of the next thing. Is like what we do like every day, right?
Automatically, it's like, okay, you need to make a Loki pin because people are watching Loki right now, or trying to think of things ahead of time. Like I know Ghostbusters is going to be back, and everyone's going to make this Stay Puft guy, but the baby one.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I'm skipping that. I don't want to make them. Like,
pick and choose your battles.
Yeah.
But that'll be fun, man. We'll hit it up on the DMs. You ever on the fence about a design, just shoot me a message, man. We'll talk it out. We'll figure it out. Cool. Well, thanks for your time, Artem. I really appreciate it. We'll catch you on the flip.
Episode 14 in the books. How about that? Thank you guys for listening and making it this far. I'll tell you, it's not easy producing this podcast. There's a lot that goes into it. It may seem pretty easy, and it might seem fun to do a podcast. Don't get me wrong, it is, but it's a lot of work. I'm not complaining or anything like that. I'm just letting you know I'm doing what I have to do to make sure you guys get a new episode every week. So please, if you have a minute, definitely rate, review, follow, subscribe, wherever you're listening to this, to make our numbers look good. It helps, we could land another advertiser or sponsor, ... Speaking of ... I want to talk to you guys about stickers. Mainly the stickers that I get made for my shop, Warrior Pins. So for the past couple years, I've been trying to get into the habit of releasing stickers every time a new pin drops, so that, with the pin, you can also get a matching sticker. I think this is really cool, and I'm a big fan of when pin makers do this. So it's just something that I've been trying to adopt, and I've gone through countless different sticker manufacturers. I've had stickers made overseas. I've had stickers printed locally. and the quality's always been hit or miss in relation to price, you know? Well, I want to say I finally feel like I found the source for affordable stickers without compromising on quality. The folks over at Sticker Ninja have been producing these awesome quality stickers. They're based out of Portland, and I've been using them for the past couple years for all of our stuff, and they are so nice. I love the matte finish. They stick to virtually everything. They've been on my guitar case, which goes with me on vacation, so it travels, it gets the wear and tear, and the stickers are still holding up. They're even folded around the case, and they're still holding up. They're on my computer, they're on my notebook. Like, I don't know what that says about me, but I think the stickers that I release are cool, so I'm definitely gonna, throw them on my stuff. But I want to make sure that they last long. And boy, they are. So I reached out to them, and we were able to come up with a sweet discount code for the Pin Pal listeners. So if you use the discount code WP10 during checkout at stickerninja.com, you will get 10% off your order. And that whatever you order, it could be the die cut stickers, it could be your classic square stickers, or maybe you want to get experimental with some of their transparent stickers, their glow in the dark stickers, or their really awesome holographic stickers, which I'm starting to use for my sticker club for Warrior Pins. You can go over to warriorpins.com or the Warrior Pins Instagram page to learn more about that. But yes, 10% off your order at stickerninja.com. I get nothing in return. This is just from the sweet graces of Sticker Ninja. They like what we're doing, and they wanted to provide some value to you guys, the listeners. So take advantage of that. If you're in the market for some stickers, personal, business, whatever, WP as in Warrior Pins, WP10 is the discount code to enter, I believe, during checkout, and then you'll see the discount reflected. So, stickerninja.com. I promise I'll get better at these ad reads eventually. Straight up, I'll be honest with you guys, that was off the top of the dome. So, hopefully things can only go up from here. Now, let's wrap up this episode. If you enjoyed what Noice Pins is all about, definitely check out his Etsy page or give him a follow on Instagram. Tell Artem that Eric from Pin Pal sent you, and maybe he'll hook it up with some extra goodies. As always, you can connect with me directly via Instagram at pinpalspodcast or through the website, www.pinpalspodcast.com, or even by email, thepinpalspodcast@gmail.com. I believe that's it. Guys, thank you again so much. I don't know how many times I can keep saying that, but I truly appreciate it. Remember, it's the little things in life, and I will see you guys next week for another episode. Peace.